I'm having to keep straight of who's seen what movie, but Sean's not seen the last two, and so this at least again is the middle one. Usually the middle part of a saga is the deep dark part, and this thing, sure, it has some dark. Yeah, so it has some dark undertones when you get to it, and you'll see those eventually. But right now, it is so sweet that maybe you go to California, sunny, open. And maybe it was intentional when they said, let's shoot it there. We're going to shoot it. Let's base it there because it does open it up. You don't have that giant, oppressive big buildings.
Escape, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So we'll talk, hopefully maybe we'll talk about this in between, but the whole Fox Disney thing happened and they specifically teased
talking about more
Apes.
movies, maybe. Yeah.
Yes,
they did.
We definitely, gosh, this week's in between. We got a lot to touch on.
Yeah.
We really do.
But sorry, that just,
hello,
news popped up.
Welcome to the tease for this weekend's episode, but we'll get back to today's episode instead.
All right.
So Zira they go back and forth from making her very smart and very charming to very naive, where she's talking back to the TV.
So before we get to the talking back to the TV, I think that one wide shot, and again, so much of this film is shot economically to where it's played out, before one shot, they play the entirety of a scene. However, I do think that, and Kim Hunter is a small woman, but Natalie Trundy is not. You look at the two shot of them together and they're the same height. I think they intentionally put Zira lower and a little more diminutive in this place so she seems sweeter. She's not quite so abrasive, but she is literally small in the scene comparatively to everyone else.
They're still doing and I think it was a choice early on. They're still doing a lot to put light on her face. I mean, it's not quite as bright as it's been in prior scenes, but when you look at that entire four-person shot and you've got them there, there's no reason for her to be that far back and still be that well lit. Well,
and to be fair, there's no reason. Now, there are some, if you look in that 4 shot, even though I'm going to call that a 3 1/4 shot because all you see is Cornelius' leg and his hand. But sure, you've got some overhead lights. If you're going to light this practically so it actually looks like what it should be, these kicks of light don't make any sense, especially because there is a desk lamp behind them that's not illuminating the sides of their face. So you're absolutely right. They are going for more of economical, make sure it's lit for the lens. So we shoot this, we get it done, we move on to the next setup. Wow, that really went on deaf ears.
I think you kind of ended the minute there.
JJ, hang on. Before we do that, we've got shots of the cityscape and whatnot we can talk about. So, JJ, did you want to say anything about that? Would you agree?
No.
Wait. Are you not agreeing or you don't have anything to say? Okay.
If the listeners don't know, one of my favorite things, ever since JJ came on for the final episode of Planet of the Apes,
the first one,
is that JJ just very sweetly sits off to the side and barely interjects, but I love it when you do.
So we have a sorry, I mean like
thanks for ending our love fest there, Richard.
Oh, I'm going back and forth between the shot and the next moment, and it's just in my head. And yeah. Sorry,
I was teasing.
JJ is awesome. Is that what we're talking about? Anyway, so do you want to talk about the joke that's supposed to set up the next little bit with Zira saying goodnight to the TV?
Sure. Touch on that before we get into we get a couple of shots of the city we'll throw in there, but absolutely, I agree. Let's touch on it.
Well, so Bill Bond says, this is Bill Bond's for Eyewitness News Los Angeles. Good night. And then Zira replies to the TV, good night, which is a kind of a common joke to make in a situation where somebody is
naive to
what's happening, to what a TV is and all that kind of stuff, as if she's watching a real person and they're interacting directly.
And they can hear her interactions.
But this, for me, was the moment setting up that we're going to move into a little more comedy.
I agree.
But I was confused because it immediately cuts to sirens. Very loud, blaring sirens, and I did not understand that choice from something was lighthearted that's supposed to move into something more lighthearted to have that siren that threw me off.
It's funny you said it because when it went to it, I remember thinking, I know where this film's going, but I thought the same thing of, wow, that siren gives off the idea of something ominous occurring. Yeah, danger. Now,
right.
They do have an escort. They have a police escort in front of their motorcade.
Right.
Which.
And no traffic on the road.
Yeah.
Which is not LA.
LA, yeah.
And you're going to have that, but I kind of thought you could have, instead of going to a siren, you could have just gone to a blinking red light on the front of the police motorcycle to say, we have an escort. It was just a very weird choice, but
it would have been nice for me to see a tighter shot of the limo and the police cars rather than Because what they do is they cut to the siren and they immediately cut to the Brown Derby restaurant.
Yep.
Right? They wanted to give you a visual of something you would recognize. Now, I'll be honest. I was not, in Los Angeles in 1970, 71.
So you're not that totally familiar with the layout?
So I went and looked at the Brown Derby restaurant, and I'm looking at this, and the Brown Derby restaurant that we have here has the awning. It pops up, and it says it's Rodeo and Wilshire. Mm-hmm. So I went to Wikipedia and looked at the information, because there's a Wikipedia entry for Brown Derby restaurant. Right. And this obviously has to be it, but it's not what it looks like from the photos.
Doesn't it literally look like a hat?
Yeah. Yes. Well, and this location is the one that's supposed to.
Because I'm thinking of what, like the Rocketeer, where they went to the Brown Derby or something.
So, and this is just because I have a love fascination with the noir era of LA. Uh-huh. The Brown Derby actually did change elements about its location and appearance for some reason. The iconic thing, I can't recall why or how it happened. I mean, it had to move or something to that extent.
I mean, there's the Derby. It was the original location, and that's it in 1952, right? Yeah. So this movie is, almost 20 years later.
I was literally pulling up one of those same kind of pictures too.
Yeah, it is.
But it looks like it's completely totally transformed and not that same place at all. Like that entire building was demoed for something else, because this is just like a
That looks like it would be the Brown Derby West location. Like, you go to the original Brown Derby, that's the hat one, but you can still eat over here at the Brown Derby too.
This was the original one, so the hat technically should be there.
Yeah,
I forget what happened, but if you ever want to know the history, there's a wonderful book called LA Noir, and it's about the crime element of LA at that time, as well as what happened with all those kind of things, and it'll tell you. But that is the 70s iteration of that. And you know what? Before next week, I'll look that up and I'll find that out, because I know it's in that book.
The original Brown Derby building was moved in 1937 to 3377 Wilshire Boulevard at the corner of Wilshire Boulevard and Alexandria, about a block from its previous location, a director's across the street from the Ambassador Hotel.
So, there you go.
That's kind of weird.
That's what happened. They moved it.
I couldn't remember if it was a fire or something like that.
Which may be why it wasn't a Derby at this particular point.
That'd be interesting. Hey, Richard, do you want to move your business a block away? I mean, why would you move? Oh, hey, we're going to move our business a block over.
Yeah, but how many times do businesses get rezoned, or something happens, or maybe they had rat infestation?
You're not moving so far away, but you're getting better parking, or you're getting a better turn signal. I mean, I suffered from a bad turn signal or a bad turn exchange on Lemon Avenue for a while. I can understand that, and you're not moving so far away. But I have moved my store twice now, so I understand moving.
We know what it's like.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is definitely something that we need to look into. I know there was a reason they could not put the big Brown Derby logo itself, something about a city ordinance or something that would not allow them. You moved Zeus, and I remember from your previous location, you still kept the icon of your logo was still the same.
Right, but on the exterior of the building in this third location, I was not allowed to put my giant Zeus metal sign out front.
Oh, really? So then after we get the Brown Derby, they pull up to the Beverly Wilshire.
Or they drive past the Brown Derby to the Beverly.
Yes, I'm sorry.
They're not stopping.
Once they go past it, we swing around, and it's to give that classic iconography of where we are.
We're in L.A.
And it's downtown L.A.
I'm surprised they didn't start off with a montage of, here's the Hollywood sign, here's the Capitol Records building.
Oh,
they did do the Hollywood. They obviously do the Hollywood sign. I will mention that Dane does have the Beverly Wilshire Hotel listed in his script as a location. So I don't know if he'd already pre-approved that, if he just intended it, or just put it in there and or change it later on when he knew they had the location it was going to be at.
And if you don't know, even at that time, people would pay to get that in there. And there's even a Chanel ad in the background when we go inside the hotel. So people are dropping some dough, and I'm imagining that they probably did say, can we use you? Absolutely, if you put a shot of the front of the hotel.
And they're thinking we need to take them someplace nice, so the Beverly Wilshire would stand out. But they didn't mention the Brown Derby. You almost wonder if they had the Beverly Wilshire and they're like,
and they say, "Oh wait, that's right over here,
over there,
across
and
the
have
street."
Them come across this way. We'll stage it by the Brown Derby because everybody knows what that is.
That's probably a really good point, because you look, the sun is just almost the exact same. So I bet these setups were running gun quick. And we have you also have the motorcade. So it's a quick relocation of drive past, probably go 3 times, so we make sure we get exposure, as everything clean in the lens,
and the gate. That siren was probably added in later on.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's literally a crank siren.
They probably had that. The editor was probably looking for a way to make that cut happen, and that sound was a way to do it, possibly.
Does anyone remember the film geekdom that I taught you in Planet of the Apes? What is it called when you shoot without sound? It's a German term.
Scheiße!
Mit out sound.
Okay.
MOS. So those are MOS shots.
There are enough words in the English language. You don't have to make up new ones, Todd.
I mean, you can hear, a mic picking up the motorcade driving by. You can hear a little bit of that sound.
See, I think that's added in. I would seriously doubt they grabbed anything on location.
It's not sound from the location.
Well, they don't have any traffic around, so they were definitely trying to.
There's no need to do that because now
they may not have wanted street noises. They might have wanted it to be a completely quiet scene as they move in without all the distraction.
I mean, this is literally somebody with a camera, some sticks, shooting something as they pass by.
It's a B unit.
Absolutely,
because there are no actors in it necessary. It's just people in cars.
True, yeah. You don't have to see anybody sitting in the limo that drives
even
by.
when the limo goes by, you can, if you really look, that's not Natalie Trundy.
No,
and you can't even see the apes in there. So I would venture guess that they probably didn't make up anybody, and if they did, it's just a pullover mask to have somebody in the car.
Yeah.
So it says apes in chauffeur-driven Mercedes escorted by 2 police motorcades and second car containing 2 bodyguards. I don't really notice a second car, but we do see them in the next minute kind of come out from that. Mm-hmm. Now, how do we have this minute ending? Do we have them pulling up to the hotel?
They pull up, and that's where we end.
Do we see anything from the car perspective from this end of this minute? Or
no, because the next minute is going to start with people taking pictures.
Okay. So we're kind of at this minute. We conclude the newscast.
We're done.
We get a setup from Zero being naive.
We are no longer imprisoned. We are being shown the town.
But her if we think about that line, good night to the newscast, it's setting the fact that they are being put into this scenario where they can be not just comedic, but she's going to be unfamiliar, and therefore it's
the fish out of water stuff.
It's the fish out of water. Yeah.
And it does change the tone. Here we go. We're full rom-com.
We're getting into the part of Pretty Woman, the necklace clap on the hand.
There's some stuff in the next couple minutes that I want to know if Sean's picking up on, or if I'm picking up on it just because I know how stuff unfolds later on.
Okay.
Like I'm curious.
I wondered why you were leaving me out of that. I was like, wait, what? He gets to know something, but now that I understand.
We've seen the rest of the movie.
For those of you who don't know, Sean's never seen these classic films.
Right. And there's some stuff that's happening that I'm like, oh, they're projecting stuff later on in the thing, but I don't know if it's obvious because I know what happens later on.
I love talk like that, and we get to poke at Sean and see what he likes and knows.
The only preview I have of what could possibly be happening is literally from the DVD menu. So the original Planet of the Apes, they show the Statue of Liberty in it. And I can't remember what they had for Beneath the Planet of the Apes. I think it was
probably the bomb.
Something like that. And then this one, they're showing it for the menu screen. They're showing, looks like a industrial yard of some sort.
I love that 3D
I'm assuming at some point,
that's great.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm assuming at some point they are going to be attacked or have to run away from people that are helping them, and they're going to hide in this waste yard somewhere. But I don't know. That's the only thing I can assume. That's why they're showing me this.
Totally off topic. Just because every time the DVD loads to kind of go back to these minutes. Man, I cannot stand that lawgiver intro. I didn't like it for the first
every time.
I like it for this one.
And thus it came to be that the apes left the planet of the apes.
Does anybody think that was a really good idea?
Okay, but those Blu-rays / DVDs came out of a different era. You don't see as much of that. We have to put some silly intro
before
on or something.
The actual menus.
Yeah. It's distracting, and I'm like,
I might skip it every time. Skip.
That's the reason that I own that very nice Blu-ray set, but I don't ever watch it. I've bought these on Amazon so they show up in my movies anywhere, and I just don't have any of that stuff.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I'm watching it from iTunes when we're sitting here talking. I'm looking at the minutes as we go through, but when I go home,
I'm watching on DVD.
Couch, taking my notes. I'm like, pulling up the DVD, and I'm like,
every time.
And you can't skip that stuff, can you?
You can.
You can.
Oh, can you?
But it will autoplay with it, and then you kind of skip it.
And the weird thing is, so it autoplays that little introduction, but then the DVD also says, hey, do you want to start the movie, or do you want to start the movie with that introduction you just saw?
I'm like, no.
No, I just want to start the movie.
Yeah, just trying to think if there are any movies anymore that do those cutesy animations at the top.
I mean, unless it's just like here's the loading menu. I can't think of anything that is, here's 2 minutes of content.
But I'm trying to imagine the era at which somebody thought that was good. That seems like an executive trying to find out more stuff to put on a DVD to make it interesting than actually a purist who just wants to watch the movie.
I know we're getting way off track here, but Easter eggs used to be a big thing on DVDs.
True.
When's the last time you heard of an Easter egg on a DVD?
Well, you don't do it now, but